Welcome to Liberty FM, the podcast dedicated to all things New York Liberty. I'm Felicia, and I'm joined by my co-host, Francois. The Liberty continue their winning streak with a 7th consecutive win against the Washington Mystics with a score of 93-88. This was a back-to-back game for the Liberty, and with this win, they secure home court in the Commissioner's Cup final. Francois, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. And what a great game by both teams, the Liberty and the Washington Mystics. We knew it was going to be a battle and it was going to be a gritty game. But both teams, considering their schedule this past week, really offer some tremendous basketball. Sandy said before the game that, the first two matchups against the Washington Mystics were really tough battles. So she didn't expect any less from Eric Thibault and his team. And I was actually pleased with the Liberty in the first half. They kind of matched the intensity of the Washington Mystics in the way they played. But there were a couple of things where the Liberty struggled in that game. I felt like the ball movements of Washington and the way all their players move and cut and, setting screens to create movement made, the Liberty's life very difficult, don't you think? I felt like they were always kind of late in the rotations and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were a step behind initially. I think, they're coming off a back-to-back. So everybody's tired, and yes, it's no excuse. But they are coming off a back-to-back. Washington had a day of rest. And so for them, Washington probably has a bit more energy coming out today. But the Liberty fought hard. I think they stayed in it. It wasn't their typical true dominant first quarter, but they came out and they fought, and these are the games where mental toughness and poise are gonna push through and win out if you can keep that going. And the Liberty did that today, especially just starting off the game. Yeah, there were a number of turnovers too in that first half. I think they had about 11 turnovers in the first half. And that just, again, we've always talked about the Liberty really has to clean up on their turnovers, and Washington made them pay. I really think the turnovers is what kept Washington in the game, because they definitely had a good amount of points off of their turnovers in this game. But the Liberty stayed poised and they fought. This was going to be gritty. It was going to be tough. They can't let being tired or heavy legs be an excuse. They got to go out and win this. And again, it was the JJ and Sab show.
I was going to actually mention that
They're
to you.
really developing this two-man game that they already had, but you're seeing it more, I guess, since the Connecticut game yesterday and the Washington game today on Sunday. And I think that's going to be a pretty dynamic duo going further into the season, because, Sab is elite with her passing. And even seeing Sab dribble out of trouble and just seeing how much she's improved this year as a player and all the stuff she's been working on through the off season, it's really showing and it's really paying off. And it's really helped the team. Even with Sloot out and Niara not there, she has stepped up in a huge way, and it's helped everyone. And so I think her and JJ today were definitely the bright spots. Obviously JJ, the player of the game, she led all scorers, and they just did a phenomenal job just grinding out this win.
Yeah, you mentioned the work that Sabrina did in the offseason, and Brandello actually praised her pre-game for it. She said that she's really worked on her physical condition in the offseason because of the way she has to move. And teams, we mentioned in the previous podcast, were trapping her quite a lot every single game because they knew that was the way to get her out of the game and cause her to have a lot of turnovers. But you saw like the way she moved today, like it was a back-to-back. Yes, she had some turnovers, but she also scored a lot of points getting into the basket. Had variety because it was either shooting threes or attacking the basket. And once again, not a lot of players could stop her. And then that combo with JJ in those pick and rolls, I think the Liberty finally understand that they have to feed JJ. And, we mentioned also in the previous podcast that JJ definitely looks more composed as well, and Brandello also praised that pregame. She said that this is what an experienced player does. I think she probably realized that it was causing her to get out of the game and not really helping the Liberty. And so Brandello said that she had to have more discipline in reading situations and not get frustrated. Play with boys because they need her, and it was a massive for them last game against Connecticut, and we saw again today. She was a machine, like blocking shots, going on fast breaks, picking with Sab, dominating in the paint.
She had some slick passes too.
Oh yes, there was that behind the back pass to Fiebich, and then there was also that play, the play of the game, literally when Sabrina dribbles, dribble around behind the back that eliminate the players, and has this incredible no look pass to JJ. I mean, you have your center who's already at the forefront of the fast break. Not a lot of centers can do that, and I don't know if they continue to play at this level. I mean, sky's the limit, especially when you think about the playoff and teams like the Aces and all the other teams that got better. That could really help us in the long run.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that. Obviously, everyone on this team is critical to the Liberty eventually taking home a championship or just even getting to the championship games. I think for JJ, it is crucial that she stays poised and doesn't get into foul trouble, because teams will try to do that. They're definitely going to try to get her into foul trouble. And today, and even yesterday's game against Connecticut, she stayed poised. She didn't get into foul trouble. She stayed in the game. She was able to really make huge strides and make a huge difference in both games. And that's what you need, because in previous games, whether it was Chicago and others, Minnesota, they were getting to her. They got in her head a bit, and then you have to take her out way too early. And then with Niara out, you don't have a backup, and so it's tough. You gotta definitely stay focused, stay poised, and really control just your emotions on the court. And she's been doing that. She's been balling out, and everyone is seeing, you got to get it to JJ. She is the key for your team, because even if people like Stewie aren't having a great first half, Stewie picked it up in the second half. But again, it's not enough. You need JJ.
Yeah.
She is the one that's going to help you truly get over the hump and get the win.
Yeah, and as expected, because they had so many games and, playing, coming from a back-to-back, Sandy was going to use her bench more. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that she was actually going to start putting some of the bench players early in the second quarter, including Macrisha Davis. Yeah. I was happy and surprised that she put her on so early. But that was good that, she got to play a lot of players, because the starters play a lot of minutes against Connecticut yesterday. So it was good, but I will have to say that coming from the bench, and it's starting to be a trend now, that Leonie Fiebich and Kennedy Burke are the sparks coming from the bench. What did you make of their performances?
Yeah, they played great today. They had longer, more minutes off the bench, and Fiebich, give her flowers today. She was open. They got to her. She knocked down her shots. She came in, played 25 minutes, got 12 points. The foul trouble is going to be a concern for her, even though some of the
yes
fouls
and no,
were
because
definitely
who was reffing the game,
yeah,
right?
But even still though, even with Connecticut, she got 5 fouls, so I just think for her, she's gonna have to really be mindful about that, because they need her. She's helpful. She was huge in both games as well, but today, just being able to just get more comfortable with the team and knowing where to be and being available and providing that energy and that spark off the bench is huge. She has the length to really disrupt, other teams. And so I think that for Fiebich, she has to just, work on the foul issues, even though some of those fouls... Ugh. Yeah, one can definitely argue that this is not a foul, or, I think it was the foul with Van Loo when they were fighting for the ball. And
Yes.
she definitely had position over Van Loo, but they called the foul on Fiebich. So it's going to be a learning curve for her, too, learning the refs in this league. And so, it's just going to take some time. But, yeah, that's, I would say, the only thing that she really needs to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, what did I tell you when we saw the ref coming into the court and we were kind of looking to see who they were, because it's pretty much giving you an idea of how the game is going to be.
Yeah.
And we saw that it was the same, one of the same referees from the Chicago Sky versus Liberty game that lasted for like 4 or 5 hours because there were like so many fouls. I think it was like 39 fouls, and both teams went to the free throw line so many times. And I felt like it was exactly the same. Some calls that were very questionable on both sides. But yeah, some of the fouls that Leonie Fiebich got were really questionable. But like you said, she said in the post-game conference that, it's all about, get accustomed to her teammates and for her teammates to also know her game as well. And she mentioned that the fact that she had more games so far than practice with the team. So that's not easy to, kind of fit in when you had more games than practice, than trainings. It's gonna take some time to adjust and feel like you fit in the team, right?
Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely, thank goodness they got about 5 days this week off, finally. The Liberty have ended up playing the most games out of anyone in the league. They're at 13 games played now. And, right behind them, Washington and Indiana with 12 games played thus far. The Liberty needed that this time off, to just practice. I mean, it's hard when you're going to have this many games at this pace that you don't even see in NBA. But, you see this pace. They're not going to get time to practice and really get those time in with each other. But hopefully this week they'll get that. And, I think for Fiebich and the rest of the bench too, with Kennedy Burke, Doikic, Marquisha Davis, it was good to see everyone playing and actually contributing, doing the little things, even if they didn't, play for only a few minutes. And, it was just great that you used the bench because you are going to need them coming up. Starting next week, they got another road trip. They got some more back-to-backs coming up. So you're going to need your bench. So this week will be good for them to get that practice in.
Yeah, I mean, to go back on Fiebich, it was great to see that her three-pointers are starting to get in.
Yeah.
That was something that I noticed from, her time in Europe, that she's an excellent three-point shooter. But, so far this season, she had kind of struggled to get her shots going. But the last few games, it's starting to click. And, it was very necessary. I mean, how many threes? 4 threes did she have 4 threes in the game?
Yeah, she did. 4. Yeah. She was 4 for 8.
And at crucial moments in the game. And defensively, I mean, she played a good chunk of the fourth quarter. And she was helping on defense when the rotations were a little bit late. And she was kind of like the last person to cover in the paint. So tremendous job from Fiebich. And I also have to mention Kennedy Burke because I always feel like a lot of people say, or used to say that, the Liberty kind of missed that little spark or that kind of fun energy within the team if you compare with maybe other teams. But I feel like, Kennedy Burke, not only is she a good basketball player, but she brings that joy and that spark, off the court when we see a lot of the videos from the New York Liberty social media accounts. You have a lot of videos with Kennedy Burke where she's just so joyful, happy to be here, already making great connections with her teammates. And, there's times where she plays a lot of minutes and times where she doesn't play a lot. But, when she's asked to be on the court, she stays ready. And she offered some good minutes to the Liberty. I mean, she had a nice three-pointer. She attacks the basket. She's, good defensively and offers versatility. So I was also very pleased with Kennedy, who had 9 points. And we needed every point we needed. She provided some of it and some energy. So that was great to see that from Kennedy Burke. And then second half, Let's move on to the second half now. And I felt like, the fatigue was there. And the fact that, like you said, that Courtney Vandersloot was still out for personal reasons, and also Nyara Sabali with a back injury. The point guard duties were given to Sabrina Ionescu and Brinaja Leonie. We know that she kind of played that role from time to time. Her first season with the Liberty, she was sometimes playing the point guards with some form of success, let's just say. But she was kind of like the backup point guard in this game. And the turnovers for both of them, you could definitely argue that fatigue was there. But there was some, questionable decision makings at times. And, should we just like talk about the last, 3 or 4 minutes of the game?
Well, I also think that, for Benija, she's been a little quiet offensively as of late. Defense, I mean, she's your best defender, and she has to go against the best on the opposing team. So it's a lot of work. So, when you're doing that, you may not get the offense going as quickly when, you're so locked in on defense. But again, I do think that, for today's game, again, fatigue, tired legs, all of it, plays a part, even though you're pushing and you're grinding to, to get past all of that. But for Leonie, she only took one shot today.
Yeah.
She got to the line a couple times. She had 5 points, but it was just unusually quiet for her. I feel like she would have definitely contributed a bit more. I mean, she did get 10 rebounds, though. So, she contributed in other ways.
And 6 assists. I mean, at least you could argue that she contributed in many other ways to make sure that, she's valuable to the team. So, let's not be all negative. But...
Yeah, for sure. But she did end up with, 7 turnovers? And I think Sabrina has 6.
Sabrina had 8 turnovers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, there you go. And then 7. So, they combined for 15 turnovers out of 21. So, that, although Sabrina still had a great game, this game, they could have ran away with this game if it wasn't for some of these turnovers, which kept Washington in the game. It truly did. 21 turnovers for the Liberty and 23 points made off of turnovers, for the Mystics. So that doesn't help. They got to get that. And again, we may all say fatigue, but they're professional athletes. They know better. They know they got to do better when it comes to that and make better decisions on the court. Yes. In the fourth, Lainey Hamilton had a very questionable scratch your head moment towards the end of the fourth quarter with her inbound passing, but yeah,
because with 2 minutes left in the game, the Liberty were up by 7. So we felt like, okay, like this is they're gonna wrap it up because
one would think they'd wrap it up.
Because I mean, in the second half, or I think in the whole game, I think there was about 17 or 18 lead changes in the game. So it was a pretty tight game. I mean, they were tied at the half, and it was going back and forth in the second half. But with 7 points, 7-point lead after Sabrina floater, I felt like this is it. Like, we're gonna wrap this up, and it's all good. But we had a quick layup from Aaliyah Edwards, and then the turnover started to happening, and like you said, that inbound pass where Benaja hesitated, like Sabrina was wide open, Stewie was also at some point wide open, and then next thing you know, she just tried to pass it to Jonquel, who was clearly not open because
Hines Allen came right in front and took the ball. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we have a game. They score a basket off of that turnover, and then with the inbounds, it was very close. I think it was right after that it could have been an
8-second violation. It could have really gone either way. I think she probably got it across with maybe a tenth or 0.2 of a second. I mean, It could have gone either way. I mean, it was lucky for them that she passed it when she did.
So it was Sabrina that got the ball. They put a lot of pressure on her. She finally managed to pass the ball to Benaja, who quickly passed it to the other side. And Jonquel Jones got the basket to give a 3-point lead. I mean, at that moment, let's just say the referee said it's an 8-second violation. It's a 1-point game. Possessions to the Washington Mystics. That's a completely different game, right?
Yeah, this game could have definitely, gone the other way. There were moments where you could definitely see for Washington, you had certain players like Hines Allen that was on fire.
Jane Melbourne, who was auditioning for Sandy Brandello for the Olympics.
And if that's her plan, she had a good audition because she led all scorers with 21 points.
And she had played really well previously against the Liberty as well.
Yeah,
so.
And she was 3 for 6 for 3-pointers. So, in the end, she was the one with the shot to make that 3-pointer, and luckily she missed it. It could have easily gone down because she had the space on JJ. I think ultimately this was just, they had to grind it out. That's what this win was. It was a grind out. It wasn't pretty. They didn't play the best basketball. They had to just do what they needed to do to get a win because 5 games in 7 or 8 days?
Yeah.
That's a lot on a team, and then your last game is on a back-to-back. That's just a lot, in my opinion. And I think, these ladies really grinded it out. They got this win, and they have the much-needed rest. And also, they got this win on Ellie's birthday, which is even more spectacular, of course.
Ellie, it's your birthday.
Happy birthday, Ellie. And so it was, the game was really, even though you're watching the Liberty, this game was about Ellie's birthday, really, because this was all about celebrating Ellie today.
Yeah, we had special towels for Ellie's birthday. The infamous wave, obviously, to get the crowd going. There's the birthday cake. There's the pre-game party, the pre-party. We couldn't attend it, but
halftime dance.
Halftime dance. Other mascots from the East Coast and then from Oregon as well. So there was a lot going, and please check out the video in the locker room where Ellie joins the team to celebrate the win. It's a classic. You gotta watch it. But it got the team going, so that was great. But I have a question for you, Felicia. Mm-hmm. Do you think that last year the Liberty will have won that game?
Doubtful. It's doubtful. I don't know with the way they played. I mean, everyone's up their game. I think the way Sabrina played last year, it was coming, but it wasn't there yet. I think today, with the way she handled the ball and getting in and out of traps, she got trapped a couple times and those were turnovers, but there were other times where they could have trapped her. And that spectacular play with JJ where she had to, the Liberty, got the steal, got it to Sabrina. She had to dribble out of trouble, got it to JJ, and they scored. And it was a spectacular play and highlight of the game. But I think last year, I don't know if that play would have gone down the way. Even if they got the steal, the likelihood is that Sabrina would have coughed it up because you had 2 players coming at her. So, this year you could tell she's really worked at it. And so, last year I think they probably would have lost. I think it still would have been a close game. And I think for the Liberty, not having Shakira Austin and Sykes from the Mystics, both of them are injured. I think that also helped the Liberty
definitely. We have to put things in perspective, definitely.
I think that also helped them today tremendously because Washington stayed in this game. They only lost by 5, and and for Washington, unfortunately, they're 0-12, but their games have been tight. It's not like Washington is getting blown out left and right. Their games are down to the wire to 1 point, 3 points, 5 points, and they just can't cross that hump. of getting their first win. I know they're going to be so excited when they do. I'm going to be excited for them. I'm not even a Mystics fan.
I mean, like, you look at their records and the way they play, it clearly doesn't match. Like, they don't look like a team that's 0-12. Because, like, 0-12, let's just say, in the NBA, they would be really, really bad.
Really bad. And the crazy part is that when you see their passing and the ball popping, I mean, they had some beautiful ball movement in the game today and some great passes and, you know, cuts to the back. I mean, they did what they needed to do to stay in the game, but it's tough. It's hard because, yes, the Liberty, I think, are the stronger team ultimately, especially with JJ in the paint. They're the stronger team. Once JJ has the ball, there's not much you can do besides either fouling her or she's going to get that shot.
Yeah, and I was also going to mention they have someone special with Aaliyah Edwards. I think she's going to be a very good player.
Aaliyah Edwards, she's going to come up. I do think when you see some of the rookies that have entered this year, you know, and when you watch college basketball, women's college basketball especially, you see the teams, the programs that really prepare their players. And I have to give it up to UConn and South Carolina. They have prepared their players to enter the big stage. And also, you know, Stanford, Cameron Brink. You know, it is, you see the poise and how they carry themselves on the court that, you know, yes, it's their rookie season. They're learning, they're going to grow, they're going to adapt, they're going to change. But I think, you know, when you see that, they're going to have that longevity. They're going to have that fight. And for Aaliyah Edwards with Washington, she's going to be a force for sure. She's going to get time in that offseason to work on some things. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future.
Yeah, I mean, she does so many little things that you won't necessarily see in the stats, but you know, it was great to see her at the Barclays. I had a chance to see her with UConn this year when they play in New York against St. John's, and now to see the evolution of Aaliyah Edwards in the league, that was quite a thing to watch. And the fact that she also has some experience with the Canadian team, playing against pros, I think that definitely helps, and she has a good career ahead of her. And you just have to listen to her teammates, the way they praise her in post-game conferences. You know, she definitely has a bright future. We don't talk about her as much as some of the other top rookies, but she'll definitely make a name for herself in this league. So with this win, as you mentioned earlier in the podcast, not only did the Liberty clinch, you know, a spot for the Commissioner's Cup final, but they also guarantee to have the home court advantage for that game on June 25th. So it would be the first Commissioner's Cup final in New York. And, you know, when we look at the crowd today and how much energy they gave to the Liberty, you know, it's literally like the sixth player on the court, because every time the Liberty are kind of like losing momentum or feeling some kind of fatigue, and then the crowd gets going, it gives that extra push and energy. And I felt like that was probably, you know, one of the most electric atmospheres of the season. You know, there was about a little over 12,000 people for that game. So a very good attendance. Above, I think, or around the average for the New York Liberty. But for a game that was not against the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, people showed up. Or Chicago Rangers, like, people showed up. And I definitely felt like they give that extra push to the team. So to be able to host that final is going to be a huge boost for them. And Jonquel definitely recognized that. So I'm really looking forward to that game against who? That is the question at this very moment.
The West is dicey. You don't know who it's going to be.
And as we started recording, the Las Vegas Aces just lost against the LA Sparks. Now, granted that Jackie Young was not there, and also Chelsea Gray is still out. But still, like, it is a big surprise.
Yeah,
sure. So now it's going to be really hard to figure out who's going to you know, be the opponent for the Liberty. because you look at the standings. Phoenix is 3-1, Minnesota 3-1, Seattle Storm 2-1, the Aces 1-2, and the Sparks 2-2, and then the Dallas Wings 0-4. So, Vegas still has a tiny bit of chance, but it looks like it's going to be between Phoenix, Minnesota, and Seattle. So who knows? All we know is that it's going to be a tough matchup and an exciting final and extra money for the players regardless of whether they win or not. So that's always a good thing, right?
It's always a plus, especially for your bench players, especially for, players that, don't have endorsements, they don't have extra, money coming into them, it's a great win. It's a great, great win for them to have that extra money in their pocket.
All right, so the Liberty are not gonna have any game for like almost a week, so it's gonna be a good time for them to relax, to
practice,
to practice and continue to gel as a team and get ready for the nightmarish team, the one that we still kind of recover from last year, the Las Vegas Aces in Vegas. And it's gonna be interesting. Like it's hard to predict because the Las Vegas Aces are in the weird spot right now, 5-4.
Chelsea Gray could come back.
We
don't know. They don't say much about
they're still very secretive.
Timeline. So,
it
wouldn't surprise me if this week they're like, she's gonna start, but we'll see.
But last season, when they got their fourth loss, that was in August. Yeah. We are mid-June. Yeah. So it's not the same team at the moment. So obviously, if the Liberty wins that game, you will have to kind of put a little asterisk around it because of the situation of the Aces. But still, regardless, it's gonna be a good game. I'm interested to see how we're gonna compete against Asia Wilson, and also Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young if she's there.
It's still going to require JJ.
Yeah.
It's still JJ and Stewie. You need your bigs, and you need that two-man game with Sab and JJ. I think it's going to be really important for that. And, for Benijah, you need her defense. Everyone's needed, and it's going to be crucial for them to play at a high level. And they can do it. They can definitely do it. What we've seen with them and how they even played Connecticut yesterday, I totally think they can do it against, Las Vegas. And, they may have a chip on their shoulder. The last game they played, they lost, which was in the finals, and that sent them home. So they may have a little axe to grind playing the Aces, but they got to play smart. They still, whether Jackie Young is there or not, whether Chelsea Gray is there, they have to play with poise and discipline. You can't slip up on the Aces or they will take advantage of that.
Yeah, because we saw the game for the finals that give the title for the Aces. Mm-hmm. Chelsea Gray was not there, and Kia Stokes as well. And you saw how the players rally around Asia Wilson and how she took over. So I think people underestimate how the absence of Chelsea Gray is a big factor for the Liberty, for the Aces. But when you have Asia Wilson, anything is possible. And so I'm really looking forward to that matchup. So we got almost like a week of rest. Enjoy life. Continue to watch basketball. Continue to support women's sports, whether it's the WNBA, the NWSL. I don't know. I think the softball season is over, but just enjoy. And we're definitely looking forward to that game on Saturday. And so enjoy. And Felicia, as we always say,
let's go Liberty!